Welcome everyone to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. In case you don't know, my name's Chad and take a dive into old sports. This is my college football week 12 pick and preview video. That's right, we're up to week 12 already. The end is close. You can sense it. The races are getting tighter for conference championship slots. The selection for the quote unquote best four teams are getting more stringent and streamlined to try and figure out who are the best four in the land. And there are some very key matchups, especially with a lot of conference championship game slots on the line. And last week I went an amazing 11-3. I mean, most wins I've had so far this season for college football. I don't know. I think I picked some very good ones there. I think only one game that I lost was decided by more than one score. So I could have gone undefeated. I could have only lost one. But hey, it's just one of those things that happen. Go ahead and start this off with a game tonight on Friday Night Lights in the Mountain West, where the Air Force Falcons are heading to Reno to take on Nevada Wolfpack. Both schools are 7-3, so they're not really ranked. But both these really need this win to put the pressure on the other division leaders of Utah State and San Diego State. They also need a lot more help with that as well. But, this should be a very good showdown between these two schools, and they should put up a lot of points because the Mountain West, defense seems to be optional sometimes. Also depends on who you play. But Nevada is led by their quarterback Strong, who has over 3,500 yards passing and 28 TDs. He will give the Falcons defense all sorts of fits, and I foresee Nevada coming out on top. And, I think right now, according right now, time to video, Air Force is favored by 1. So it's definitely one of those games could go either way. But I think Nevada's going to have too much offensive weapons. The triple option always gives everyone fits, no matter how many times you play them. So I'm sure Air Force puts some points on the board, make it interesting. But I think Nevada should be able to pull this one out, just squeak this one out at the end. Well, now we got that out of the way for the Friday Night Lights. Let's go ahead and kick off on the Saturday showdown. And let's go to the ACC. We have a couple of key matchups to determine basically who's going to be facing off in Charlotte. Now note, the poll numbers I'm going to put on here are from my poll that I come up with at the end of each week. The last week I had did it up there where I pretty much created a brand new top 4 again. It's pretty much Georgia and the Pac-10, or not Pac-10, the Big Ten. So my number 7 is Wake Forest, who is 9-1. We'll visit the 21st ranked Clemson, who is 7-3. Clemson has really climbed themselves back into the picture and made themselves really relevant again. Wake Forest pretty much ran away with the ACC. But, can Clemson defense keep Hartman contained? That's going to be a cute, big thing. And can Clemson continue winning? They've won 3 in a row, including 5 of the past 6. But they're 0-2 against ranked opponents. So that's going to be kind of a hamper, and not to mention their star wide receiver Ross is out for the season. He's having surgery to make himself available for the draft. And if it's a close game, Wake is 3-1 in games determined by a score or less. And I think this is one of these things that Wake will go into Death Valley, edge out Clemson, and punch their ticket to Charlotte. Now on the other side, you'll have 6-4 Virginia Cavaliers taking on the 19th ranked Pitt Panthers at 8-2. This is pretty much a chance for Pitt to clinch the Coastal Division. And Charlotte is a loaded team offensively, but last week they fell flat against Notre Dame, against that defense, and Pitt will do the same to the Cavaliers again this week. The Cavaliers aren't going to have any fun. Pitt's going to punch their ticket to Charlotte and have that date with Wake Forest for the ACC title. Not who you would normally expect in the ACC title game, but both Wake and Pitt are doing very well this year, and I can see them both winning this weekend. Now we head off to the American. We have the 12th ranked Cincinnati Bearcats, who are undefeated, heading to Dallas to take on SMU Mustangs. I think this is pretty much the last hurdle for Cincinnati this season. Their last game is pretty much going to be a cupcake. But the committee members don't really like Cincinnati's wins because they just win. They don't really put up the flashy wins. They don't win by 20, 30 points against other conference opponents. So the committee kind of frowns upon that. That's why they're not ranked higher in the college football playoff poll. In mine, this just happened to be their schedule. They playing against sub 500 teams. The only really big one they have so far is Notre Dame. But they can knock off a 8-win SMU, that will help their strength of victory points in my poll. And it's just one of these things that Cincinnati is a very potent team that does what they need to do. They don't get, like I said, they're not flashy. Their defense is outstanding, and Riller just doing what he has to do to continue his undefeated streak and get there. Because pretty much right now, I think Houston's going to wait for him in the American Championship game, and Cincinnati should easily beat SMU to give them that big time game and the American Athletic Conference Championship game at the end of the season. The Big 12, there's definitely a couple of games out there that could really be interesting. But I'm going to start off with the 6-4 Cyclones heading it down to Norman to take on the 9th-ranked OU at 9-1. Right now, Iowa State has nothing to lose. They're bowl eligible. They're not in the Big 12 title picture. So they will give the Sooners everything they have. And Iowa State is one of these teams that can do it. They can bring it. OU's got to look to bounce back from their disappointment they did in Waco, where they just got manhandled by the Bears. And I don't see them losing 2 in a row. It will be close. There's no doubt about that one. And right now, I think Oklahoma's favored by 3.5 by the time this video. I think that's just right around that mark. We think this is going to be a one-score game, and I think Oklahoma will edge out Iowa State for the win. In the 13th-ranked Baylor Bears, 8-2, will go up to Manhattan, Kansas, to take on the 22-ranked Wildcats, who are 7-3. And KSU is like Iowa State. They have nothing to lose. They're bowl eligible. They're in the Big 12 championship title match. And they will love nothing better than keep Baylor out of it. But that defense right now is stout for the Bears. And I kind of see them, just manhandling the Wildcats offense, because the Wildcats offense is nothing compared to Oklahoma's. And they pretty much handled them pretty easily. So this is definitely one of the things I think Baylor will win to keep that pressure on the Oklahomas. Because it depends who loses Bedlam. Depends whether or not Baylor gets in. And that's, unfortunately, everything's out of Baylor's hand. Because Oklahoma State's taking on Texas Tech this week, and I don't think Tech has a shot. I'll take that back. I think Tech will give Oklahoma State enough issues, but Oklahoma State should win. But yeah, they need, Baylor need a lot of help to kind of get in there, so they can, because in Bedlam, if Oklahoma State loses, Baylor's out because Oklahoma State beat Baylor. But Oklahoma loses, Baylor's in because they beat Oklahoma. It's one of these things is that if Baylor can maintain and continue on winning, that Bedlam series will determine whether or not they're in Arlington or a New Year's Six bowl bid. Then we head into Big Ten. I think the game of the week. 9-1 teams in the Big Ten East will collide. There's a 6th-ranked Michigan State will head to Ohio Stadium in Columbus, take on number 3 Ohio State. This will be an epic showdown. Michigan State right now is 2-0 against ranked opponents. Ohio State offense is just humming along. Ohio State destroyed Purdue. The same spoiler makers that knocked off Michigan State. Ohio State dispatched them with extreme prejudice. It wasn't even close. There was no chance of the Boilermakers playing spoilers in that game. And I think Ohio State's defense should be able to contain Walker and make Michigan State beat them in the air. I don't think they can do that. Michigan State will definitely put up a fight, but I think Ohio State's going to end up winning probably by double digits and beating Michigan State to really make that game against Michigan at the end of the year something really, really special. But Ohio State wins big. And I'm not going to talk about the Michigan game because they're taking on Maryland, and I don't think it's going to be a fair fight for the Terps. I am going to head out to Iowa City, where the number 11th ranked Hawkeyes, who are 8-2, will play host to the 4-6 Illini. Now, on paper, it looks like Iowa should mop the floor with them. But au contraire, mon frère. The Illini has been playing spoilers on the road so far in this Big Ten conference play. They went to Happy Valley and knocked off Penn State. They went into Minnesota and knocked off the Gophers when they were, both teams were favored hugely. Right now, Iowa, is favored by 12.5. That's all Illinois needs. I think right now they love thriving as the underdog on the road in these Big Ten showdowns. And, like I said, they're winning winning games they shouldn't have. They just, like I said, thrive being road warriors. And it's a defensive showdown because if you look at these past few games, Illinois has not coughed up a lot of points. I mean, Rutgers barely beat them. Same thing, Penn State and Minnesota didn't score a lot of points. So Illinois' defense is actually stepping up to the par. It's just their offense is kind of not matching that intensity, except when they're on the road facing against teams they should be losing to. That's why I'm going to go on a limb. I think it's a stretch, but the way Illinois has been playing against these highly touted teams in the Big Ten on the road, the Illini upset Iowa and win. Conference USA. Now you got the 7-3 UAB Blazers will head down to San Antone to take on the undefeated and 15th ranked Roadrunners. This is the second big game in a row for UTSA in conference play, especially in that Conference USA West. They already dispatched UTEP. They almost got upset by flipping Southern Miss last week because that was a trap game. So their focus is on the Blazers. They need to get, if they win this one, they're in the conference championship game for Conference USA. But I think UAB is going to test them much like Southern Miss and Western Kentucky did earlier this season. But the local standout, Sincere McCormick, is looking to regain his running form. The Golden Eagles kind of corralled the running attack by the Roadrunners. But I'm looking for him to kind of, he wants to run over the Blazers and birds up. And they slip past the Blazers to remain undefeated and punch their ticket to the Conference USA championship game. That more than likely will be played in San Antonio. We head out to the Pac-12 and a huge showdown between the two division leaders. So you have the 5th-ranked Oregon Ducks, who are 9-1. We'll go out to Salt Lake to take on 23rd-ranked Utah at 7-3. Like I said, these are two division winners of both the North and South. Could be featured again in Vegas in the conference championship game. Oregon's got a nice little lead up there north, and the only team next to Utah is Arizona State, which they have already beaten. So they really have to stumble for the Utah to get in. But both these teams are running on extremely good winning streaks. The Ducks have won five in a row, and the Utes are on a 3-game streak, and both been pretty similar in style in conference play. And like I said, this is the Pac-12. They beat each other up every year, year in, year out. The days of the Oregon early Oregon runs, the USC runs where they just dominate and just run over opponents is gone. The Pac-12 is so talented, so dispersed between the schools. Any given Saturday, they get an upstart can knock it off. Look at Stanford beating Oregon early this year. So for this one, I can see Utah beating Oregon in this matchup. They'll definitely punch their ticket into Vegas. Like I said, Oregon's already there, so we definitely see these two again in a couple weeks. But yeah, Utah over Oregon. Then the SEC, the 25th ranked Razorbacks at 7-3, we head to Tuscaloosa to take on the 10th ranked Bama Tide, who are 9-1. Yeah, Bama falling to 10 is a little bit, sure might irk some people the wrong way. A lot of people probably think they're the best team, if not the second best team. But they demolished New Mexico State, so that's not really saying much. But Arkansas has won 3 in a row. They'll love nothing more than to upset the Tide in Tuscaloosa, and it ain't going to happen. Tide's going to roll. They're going to punch their ticket to Atlanta for their showdown with Georgia in a couple weeks. So, unfortunately, the Razorbacks is going to look for a good bowl, and that's about it. And then for the first time, we're going to feature a Sun Belt team. That's right. For the first time that these guys cracked my poll, the 24th ranked Louisiana Raging Cajuns. I just love that name. When they head out to Liberty to face the Flames, who are 7-3. And this should be a good matchup between these two. Liberty is another quality program. That's a lot of good talent. Not quite meeting the standards they did last year. And of course, more teams are playing, so the opportunities of them, kind of running the muck are a little less than some. But in this aspect, I think actually Liberty's actually favored in this matchup. And like I said, they're a talented bunch. But I really think that the Cajuns could go up there, beat the future Conference USA member, and walk away with a victory. Well, there you go. There are my picks. I know one of them's definitely right there on the limb. But hey, let me know what you think. Besides, that Michigan State Ohio State game, which other game are you really looking forward to? I'm going to watch that Notre Dame Georgia Tech game, of course, but that's besides the point. But hey, just let me know who you think your top 4 schools are at this present point in time. And just let me know in the comments below. While you're there, you can smash that thumbs up for me. Especially if you like this content, you can also subscribe. Once you subscribe, hit that bell notification, let you know next time I post a video. And I'll see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.